copy it. You don't really need to make your own and get confused. But basically, and as I told the earlier class today, in tailoring, they make these out of sandpaper because the sandpaper sticks to the fabric and it doesn't shift. This smooth. So.
You mean to tell me we don't have a quiz today? I'm the only one that comes in on time, and
you weren't on time. You were way early today, which I was
oh
really impressed
my god,
with.
that's horrible.
And you sat there texting. And
I was sexting. I wasn't texting.
Obviously, it didn't do any good because you're still here. Yeah, TMI. I didn't need to know. So basically, this little template, I'm going to place on my center front fold. And essentially what I'm going to do is I'm going to stitch around it. And it'll be a nice little perfect. You can draw this on if you want to, just make sure that it comes off. But if you use a little template like this, then you can just use that as your guide to stitch a perfect little top stitch. The problem is, the facing and the shield are the same size. When I stitch around, essentially what I'm doing is I'm trying to follow this curve of the facing. So you can use that as a guide. If I stitch around like this, I'm going to sew everything up together. So essentially what I'm going to need to do is I'm going to have to start on the bottom here and stitch up to this curve and stop sewing and back stitching and take it out of the machine and fold that back and continue. So you'll see what I did.
That was very good again.
That's my name. She'd be out.
I think she gets right.
I'm folding that down because I can see through the fabric and I can see that the end is there. But essentially, the top stitch should start at the bottom there. So I'll place the template right there. Oh, I need the other foot.
Everyone's recording this. Oh my
So
gosh.
why don't you just buy it, the video?
Can I buy the video from you when you're done? Can you edit it too?
Yeah. Put music in when I get up and get something out of the locker. I hate to hear my voice.
No, you can post them on YouTube and then everybody watches.
Then I get to sue.
It's just our class.
Right.
So if you have a zipper in the future, if you have one now that has metal teeth, you cannot go through the metal teeth with it's metal. You can't go through it. If you have the all-purpose zipper, which I asked you to get, you can go right through it with the machine, so don't be afraid of it. Make sure your stitch length is correct. So go from center front back stitch and then continue around and just follow your curve. And I'm going through all layers currently. This is the really weird part because technically speaking, as I was saying, it's supposed to... Can I have my scissors? I want to show you something else. Because I have this thread here, I don't want to just clip it off so I have a thread end. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip it upside down and pull that thread up from the outside, or from the right side to the back side. So I don't have to cut it off and I won't have a little tail end hanging out. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to do, just to hold it in place, I guess the back stitch is sufficient, but I'm going to do a surgeon's knot, which is going through twice, pulling, and going again. So that's what you get when you get stitches. Not that I advocate sewing yourself up, but that's what they do. So essentially what's supposed to happen here is that this stitch is supposed to come up and around, and it's supposed to catch just the corner of this. Obviously they're the same size, so it's not going to work. So once again, I have to fold this back. I'm just going to fold it back to get it out of the way. If you haven't gotten that far, one thing that you could do is you could offset this a little bit, push it that way, but technically this should end about there, so that you only catch this little corner, and then it continues up only on this piece. But I don't know why the pattern piece is like that. So this is what sometimes you have to make it do what you want it to do, even though the pattern pieces aren't telling you. So that's the only thing on here that is sort of weird.
Is that what you were talking about with the piece sizes?
Yeah. So maybe I'll continue until I get to here, because I see that it falls off. We'll see. So put the template back on. And if you just start, you can bring this tail to the back and it won't look like you've done this, 4 times. And like I said, in the industry, there's a template. It's a metal track that the machine sits through, and it just goes. So this is why all the Levi's and all the True Religion and all those pants all look the same. It's not done by eye like I'm doing or being made up. I unfolded. Oh look, I caught that in there too. How many, most of you, some of you have gotten up to there, right? Up to this point. So all of this is now, oh see, that's where the other one went. Should not have been in there. Needles. Taking these stitches out. Up here. And I'm going to pull them all backwards. But this is not a normal process, obviously. This is not what you should have to do. So if you haven't gotten to this stage, what you can do is you can push this facing over so that you are sewing about, instead of a 1/2 inch in, you're sewing, I would say maybe 3/4 of an inch in, so that you don't have to sort of finagle this thing, but in the end it should look correct. That should not be in there. So this technically should be taken out, but I'm just going to pull these back because I can take it out after I show you the front. But if you bring all those to the back, you can tie them off. And look, I've taken too many stitches out. But essentially what you need to remember is that when you do this top stitch, that it allows you to open up the garment without it being sewn all the way. If you haven't gotten to this point, push this facing piece over more, because it's too wide. It should only be up to about there. And if you look inside your own pants, you'll see the exact same thing. The pieces, I don't know why. Does anybody have any questions? This is in your textbook too.